Check, 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 check. Check, check, check. Check, 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 check.
Check.
All right. Let's go.
You can tell us when he decides. All right.
Hi, Bob.
Oh.
Good morning, everybody. If you would just bow your heads for a minute. But
Echoey.
check, 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 check. Better? Okay. Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me out there? Hello? Yep, you can. Okay. If you would just bow your heads for just a second or two, I want to give the Lord thanks for everything He's done in our lives, everything you see here in front of you, all the relationships we have, all the people who have been in our lives and built relationships. Lord, we want to thank you for that. We want to thank you for the opportunity to serve you. We want to thank you, beautiful day. For all that rain last night, I thought it was going to be best here this morning. Not. My wife and the garden committee cleaned it up, and it looks wonderful out here. So thank you, Lord, for all of that, and we're going to get started here. Bring your guilt, bring your pain. Don't you know that's not your way? You'll always be much more to me. They say sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. Right now, I'm losing bad. I saw mistakes night after night, reminding the world that it'll be alright. Right now, I just can't. It's easy to say when there's nothing to bring me down. But what will I say when I'm down to the flame like I am right now? Oh, I know you're able, I know you can. Save the fire with your mighty hand. But even if you don't, my hope is you alone. Say it all takes a little faith to move a mountain. Good thing a little faith is all I have right now. God, when you choose to be mountains of blue, give me the strength to be able to say it is well with my soul. I know you can. Say through the fire with your mighty hand. But even if you don't, my hope is you alone. I know the sorrow, I know the hurt. Walk away if you just say the word. Even if you don't, my hope is you alone. All of my days, Jesus, I will cling to you. Come love me, 'cause I know you can. Straight through the fire with your mighty hand. Even if you don't, my hope is you alone. I know the sorrow, I know the hurt. Won't go away if you just say the word. But even if you don't, my hope is you alone. It's well with my soul. It is well with my soul. This is kind of our gathering song. It's saying, open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Let me look around and see what you've done for me. Let me look around and see all these people that can influence me to you. You, Lord. So open the eyes of my heart. This next song talks about being a friend of who am I that you are mindful of me, that you hear me when I call. I'm calling, Lord. Is it true that you are thinking of me? Are you loving? It's amazing, so amazing. I'm a friend of God. I'm a friend of God. I'm a friend of God. He calls me friend. I'm a friend of God. I'm a friend of God. I'm a friend of God. He calls me friend. Who am I that you are mindful of me? That you hear me when I call. Oh yeah. Is it true that you are thinking of me? How you love me? It's amazing, so amazing. I'm a friend of God. I'm a friend of God. I'm a friend of God. He calls me friend. I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God. I'm a friend of God. He calls me friend. God Almighty, Lord of glory, you have called me friend. God Almighty, Lord of glory, you have called me friend. God Almighty, Lord of glory, you have called me friend. That's a nice thought, isn't it? Called a friend of God.
Gift like the present tense. Amen.
Okay. They're doing one more.
This is our thank you song to the Lord. Okay? I'll give thanks. Give thanks with a grateful heart. Give thanks to the Holy One. Give thanks because He's given Jesus Christ the Son. Give thanks with a grateful heart. Give thanks to the Holy One. Give thanks because He's given Jesus Christ the Son. And now we say, I am strong. Let the voice say, I am brave. Because of what the Lord has done for us. And now let the weak say, I am strong. Let the poor say, I am rich. Because of what the Lord has done for us.
Well, I think I'm on. Can you hear me? Yep. Okay. got to get to my little passage here. It's from Joel, and it's chapter 1, first 12 verses. Let me read those to you. So the word of the Lord that came to Joel. Hear this, O elders, give ear, all inhabitants of the land. Has such a thing happened in your day or in the days of your ancestors? Tell your children of it. Let your children tell their children, and their children another generation. What the cutting locust left, what the swarming locust has eaten, what the swarming locust left, the hopping locust has eaten. And what the hopping locust left, destroying locust has eaten. Have you gotten that it's pretty well destroyed? Okay, just a second. Wake up, you drunkards, and weep. Wail, all you wine drinkers, over the sweet wine, for it is cut off from your mouth. For a nation has invaded my land, powerful and innumerable. Its teeth are lion's teeth, and it has the fangs of a lioness. It has laid waste to my vines and splintered my fig trees, and it stripped off their bark and thrown it down. Their branches have turned white. Lament like a virgin dressed in sackcloth for the husband of her youth. The grain offering and the drink offering are cut off from the house of the Lord. The priest mourns, minister of the Lord. The fields are devastated, the ground mourns, for the grain is destroyed and the wine dries up. Be dismayed, you farmers, wail, you vine dressers, over the wheat and the barley. For the crops of the field are ruined. The vine withers and the fig tree droops. Pomegranate, palm, and apple. All the trees of the field are dried up. Surely the joy withers away from the people. So that's Joel. And he's talking about an event so terrible, so horrible, that it will be burned into not only his memory, but the memory of those of his generation, the next, and the next. And so if you just say, you remember when, everybody's going to nod and go, yeah, I remember when. And so it got me to thinking of some remember whens. You know, my dad started his farm in the middle of the Dust Bowl. And he had stories of, you remember when. Now, he was on the edge of the dust. He wasn't in the really thick stuff of eastern Colorado and western Kansas and Oklahoma and Texas, but he was on the edge. But one story he always told was the chickens would go to roost at 3 p.m. And why? Well, because it was dark. The dust cloud was so high and so thick in the sky, it faked the horizon so that the chickens were like, well, might as well go to bed. It's dark. And so he has that story and that memory, but people who lived through that never forgot it. They told their kids, who told their kids, who remember these stories. And so it got me thinking of, the one my mom always told was about JFK. And where were you when he was shot? My mom could tell you not only the time, she could tell you the place and the situation. She was grabbing a box of Cheerios off the shelf in the grocery store when the announcement came over the PA that the president had been shot. Never forgot that. And she shared that all the time. And so we have to bring it a little farther forward for some of us. Think about the Twin Towers. You knew exactly where you were. You can tell me what you were doing. You couldn't tell me what you were doing the day before, and you can't tell me what you're doing maybe the week after. But that day, at that time, as it began to become apparent of what was going on, you can tell me, like I can tell you, I was in my car, turning right by Sonic, when the announcer said, we think the tower's been hit. And I was driving to Tulsa, go to my first day of seminary class, when it all began to unfold. And the very first class I had, instead of having a class, they brought a TV into the room, and we watched what was happening on TV. It was an incredible moment. You don't forget that. And so the prophet Joel, in his writing here, or what he's trying to share with you, is that this event, this locust swarm, this once-in-a-generation type of event, is burned into our memories. Burned in, and we won't forget. But notice his reaction. His reaction is one of, what should we do about it? Well, he's saying, weep, wail, cry. The joy is being sucked out of your life. And so we have nothing but to do but to wear sackcloth and to just feel just this horrible, horrible weight upon us. And you're like, wow, this is not a very uplifting passage. You have to remember, for Joel, what's going on here is this swarm, this locust, has deprived the farmers of the ability to provide bread. And it's deprived the farmers again to provide wine. And this failure to have bread or wine will stop the presence of the Lord in the temple, because we can no longer bring the bread of presence into the offering place. And we can no longer have the wine in the temple to signify the presence of God. It's more than it's just been taken away and he can't eat. It's that he can't go to the temple anymore. And he can't share the presence of God. And because Joel believes, probably do too, and because Joel believes that this stuff comes from God, then who broke communion? God. For what reason, Joel doesn't know, but this is Joel's comments of weep, whine, mourn, sackcloth. We did something wrong. And therefore we must make it right with God. This calamity that has come upon us is not accidental, it's intentional, and we must address it and fix it on our end first before God will ever restore us. That's why the joy was withering away. So I ask you, in the midst of what we're going through today, do you feel like your joy is withering away a little bit? Does it feel pretty weak on the vine? If it hasn't, maybe you haven't been seeing what's going on. We're all gathered out here, and I don't know why, but you're all wearing masks. It's kind of scary. And I hope it's not a mob. But we're wearing masks because of something that's hit. It's bugged us all. It's bothered us all. And it's really affecting our daily lives. And then if that's not enough, you know, we get the reports that there's murder hornets coming. Doesn't that sound great? Great big things. If they sting you, your arm will fall off. I don't know. It's some report like that. Maybe it's not that bad, but no, they won't drop your arm off. Just swell it up. I'll look like Popeye. Boom. I hope I get stung. I'll look good. So I've got some guns I'll show my kids.
Careful what you ask.
Yeah, I know. Careful what you ask for. But let's forget that. Let's get serious, though, with the riots that are going on. And the just the unrest and the division that's going on right now, that we really can't even agree about the simplest of issues and come together as a group of people and say, we will stand together united. It seems like we are committed to saying the problem is them folk over there. And them folk over there are saying the problem is them folk over there. And why don't we realize and recognize that it's only when we come together that we're going to get through this stuff? We can all rally around something that makes me not weep, not wail, and not mourn. And it's this. In the midst of this time of plague, of trouble, of dissension, God has not removed the presence of the Lord from us. Because long ago, Jesus came. And at that time of Jesus' life, he presented his body as the presence. And he presented his blood as the cup. And that is something that cannot be removed by any famine, cannot be removed by any riots, cannot be removed by any situation. God has said, in the midst of whatever comes, I will remain among you. Have faith in this fact. You are in the presence of God. It's a blessing. It's a blessing that we can come here today. Despite all the restrictions, despite all the other things we have to worry about, we can still come to the house of the Lord. And in this moment, and in this time, presence, the body, blood, Christ, what allows us to come to the table. And nothing can remove that. Thanks be to God for that gift of his Son, our Savior, Christ. For it was on the night of Jesus' betrayal, as he gathered his disciples around him, that during the course of the meal he took bread and he said, "Take, eat. This is my body, broken for you." And after the meal was over, he took a cup and he said, "This cup is a new covenant. It will be sealed with my blood. Take and drink." And so we come to this table today a thankful people, for God has provided us his presence. In the body and blood of his Son, Jesus Christ, we are allowed into communion with God today in the midst of pandemic, in the midst of rioting, in the midst of division. We can come to this table in a moment of unity. And so we will be inviting you. Mary's going to come say a few words, I think. And we're going to invite you after the band sings, go out and we'll have a time of communion together in a line. I know, feels awkward, feels weird, but it'll be okay. It'll be okay. And so what I want to give you right now is just a couple seconds. Bow your head. Thank God that you're able to come to this table. Come what may. God shares his love with you.
None. Pastor just talked to us. And all of us at one morning. But have the letter. Not only that, there's all the services.
As you leave, we're going to be doing the communion hymn, okay? One bread, one body, one Lord, one cup of blood. Gentile Jew, servant or free, woman or man, come one
Okay, I think we've missed the worst of the wind, but thank you to John and Jeff for allowing Jeff to, well, stay in the shade, I guess. I don't know, or not destroy Damien's tent, I don't know which. But anyway, I want to wish you all a very wonderful week. Please, as Mary said, find the good in this week. Find the good. And also, I'm going to add, and be the good. Be the good. Find something where you are the good. And so God bless y'all. Real good. I don't have any announcements. I think there's a board meeting. I guess I have an announcement. Tomorrow night there's a board meeting, Finance Committee at 4:30, board meeting at 6. That's my only announcement. So if I have others, just look on YouTube for the Monday morning update, and I'll give you more. Okay? So God bless y'all real good, and we welcome you to the communion table.
We're going to be playing the communion hymn as you leave, which means now.
We'll go now.